Don't you wanna be free when you're standing on the edge of time? One word's all I need to relieve you of your rising greed. Don't you wanna be free when your life's turning upside down? Let me show you the way to go when all direction is lost. I cannot be all you need. I promise to be by your side, to help you set your mind at ease. For once I will not run and hide. I've said it time and time and again. If you want, I can be your friend. Don't you wanna be free to forget where your life should be? For once, stand up for what's right and be true to the ones you need. Don't you wanna be free and to never be afraid again? This time I will not let you go. I'll be your shelter from harm. I cannot be all you need. I promise to be by your side, to help you set your mind at ease. For once I will not run and hide. I've said it time and time and again. If you want, I can be your friend. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Let me just running around crazy today. Just got home a couple hours ago. Let me just see who's in the chat. I went to visit my daughter this weekend at Penn State. She had her last home hockey game. So they call it senior night, even though it was at noontime. The game was at noon. So it was fun. It was fun, but Penn State is a long drive from here. With traffic and everything, it's about 8.5 hours. So just a long weekend. Hey, Allie. Welcome, hon. Scott. Hi, Mike. Let's see. Hey, Sunny. How are you? Welcome. Hey, Jen. I'm glad you could make it, hon. Welcome. Hey, Daniel. You can't stay long, Sunny. Oh, thank you. Thank you for just taking even 5 minutes to drop in and say hello. You don't know how much that means. It means the world to me, so thank you. Hey, CL. How are you, hon? I was thinking of you earlier today. Well, I'll get into it when I get into what I'm going to talk about. So, hi, Catherine. I hope you're doing well, hon. I've been catching up on all your 7-day program. I think I only missed one day this weekend, so I do have to go back and watch it, but I have been enjoying it, so thank you. I just saw the root beer review. Oh, I haven't seen that one. It's a very long drive with 2 dogs in the back too. So we have to stop every so often to let them stretch their legs and stuff. So yeah, even just a couple of stops just adds another 20-25 minutes. But thankfully there was no drama on the highway. Sometimes there's accidents and whatnot, especially that long stretch. And I don't even know what route it is, but it's a long stretch in Pennsylvania that all the tractor trailers go through. It's like hundreds of miles, and there's always something. But it was pretty good today. Hi, hon. Hey, Sally. It was so nice to meet you this weekend. And Sally, she gave me a mug. Can you see it? Nope. Well, I don't know which way my camera is. So thank you very much. I love it. So it was really fun. And I do have to give her a shout out because when she found out I was coming to Pennsylvania, she's like, oh, we should try and meet. Well, like I just said, it's a long drive. So even like an hour out of the way is pretty, I don't know, dramatic for me, I guess. I'm not much of a car driver. And when we go down, it's usually just for the weekend. So my daughter always has all these things going on for us. But it just happened that because she had to be at the rink a lot earlier than the parents had to be at the rink. So I was like, the only time I could make it work was Saturday morning. So there was like no flexibility, no nothing. And Sally was like, yep, that's okay. We're going to do it. And Daryl's like, I'll drive you. So it was just really, really sweet. It just meant so much that they would drive all that way just to see me. So it was very special. It meant a lot to me. It's nice seeing your kids thrive. It certainly is. I agree. Let's go. All the cool kids are here. Hey, Daryl. It was so nice meeting you yesterday. And thank you again for bringing Sally. And I don't know, maybe I'm just the one that is really slow here, but I guess Sally has a couple videos on her channel. And I'm not going to say his name right. Sergey. And maybe you guys have already seen them. They look to be about 6 months old. I had not seen them. So Sally's like, oh, you should check them out. So I checked on the way home today. So funny. So funny. So if you haven't seen them, you got to do yourself a favor and go watch them because they are a riot. Should probably drop the links in the chat. But again, maybe it's only me who didn't go back and watch those, but they were great. Hey, Oki. Thank you for joining. It was nice seeing you on Coach's live the other night. I learned a lot. I learned your first name. I learned, a lot about your son, your daughter. So it was nice. It was nice to hear. You could kind of see the man behind some of the videos that I've watched. So that was kind of cool. Coach also had a guest on today. Oh, my goodness. I want to say her name was Marianne. Don't quote me on that. And I want to say it was at noontime, though. She did a live at noontime. And this woman was just amazing. She's been through so much in life. She had an eating disorder, but amongst other things. You should really go and watch Coach's live. It was at noon today, and I believe her name was Miriam. So if you should just go watch it. It was very moving. So, okay. So what I wanted to, I didn't know what I wanted to talk about tonight because I didn't have a whole lot of time to pull anything together, but I've been reading a book, and I don't know if anybody's heard of it. Theo on Golden. Theo of Golden. Has anybody, I don't know if you can see. Oh, I have it on Audible. Oh my goodness, I don't know why I can't find my camera. If anybody has read it, just drop it in the comments that you've read it. And the kind of the cool thing about this book, Sergey, is my shits and giggles playlist. It is so funny. So yes, you got to go watch that. Um, but anyways, the cool thing about this book is it's on the New York Times bestseller, but there was literally no marketing, no PR, no social media, nothing. And it was all by word of mouth. And it's almost 5 stars across the board. Doesn't matter, what, whether you look on Amazon, whether you look on Goodreads. And it personally, I do, it's very thought provoking. It's life changing. It is a story. And I think what's really cool, I don't want to give away too much about it, but it really got me thinking just about what we consider to be wealthy, right? I mean, I think when people comment on the word wealth, everybody first thinks of the financial wealth, right? But there's obviously so many other kinds of wealth. There's physical, your health. There's social wealth, your friendships, your time. There's so many different facets of wealth. So I just wanted to, I guess, maybe give an overview of this book, not necessarily a book review. But then, if you haven't read it, I really suggest you read it. I mean, it's an easy read, or get it on Audible, because I do think it'll be impacting. So let me just get to my notes here. But, let me just ask, one of the questions is, when I say the word wealthy, I mean, what's the first thing that anybody thinks of? Does your mind go right to financial as well? Or, does your mind go somewhere else? I'm not saying I'm necessarily proud that mine goes to finances, but that's where, mine goes. So, but if somebody thinks something different when I mention the word wealth, just drop it in the comments. So, so I told you how it became a bestseller. It's all word of mouth. And so, just person to person, right? And to me, again, that is it's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. There's a reason that it is on the bestseller. It is a reason it's almost 5-star. It's almost like the message in it is being pushed out, from a divine state, if you would. I truly believe that, because it has impacted so many people that they're out just sharing it word of mouth. But it's basically about an 86-year-old man, Theo, and he comes to the town of Golden, and he goes to a coffee shop, and there's a coffee shop in town. And this coffee shop basically just has like these portraits, pencil portraits, on all the walls, and the portraits of different people who live in the town. So he doesn't, this Theo, he doesn't talk a whole lot. He asks lots and lots of questions, but he doesn't answer too many. But what he does throughout the story is he buys all the portraits, but one at a time. And he takes each portrait and he goes to the person it belongs to. And just by that giving of the portrait back to the person, this, like, there's a story for each person, and it sort of unfolds like that. But I think, to just summarize it, I think people get caught up in life, get caught up in, climbing that corporate ladder, and then they get to the top of that corporate ladder and they realize the ladder's on the wrong wall. They realize that their relationships have been put on the back burner, whether that's with friends or spouses or whatnot, or their children. So basically, by him taking the pictures off the wall and giving it back to that person, it's sort of, he's sort of given that person back their life. And there's a couple twists to it that I don't want to share because I don't want to give them away. But it's definitely worth the read. And as I was reading it, it really dawned on me, you know what? That's the wealth, right? again, I don't want to say too much, but in the town, the guy has nothing, right? Nothing at all. He just comes to the town with nothing. He just wears a cap, and he typically goes and sits by the river. And he did this for a year before he passed. But that man was wealthier than any money could give him. And I guess I will say, it won't give it away, is the man is very, very wealthy, but he chose not to live his, remaining year like that. Um, because again, you can have all the financial wealth you want, but if you struggle with your friendships, or you can't take that wealth with you, right? You can take your friendships with you. No, at least any job that I've ever had, nobody's going to much care when you're at the end of your life like your friends would. So anyways, I just wanted to maybe dig into that a little bit. One of the things I wrote was, when is the last time someone truly saw you and that you allowed yourself really to be seen? Because I think that's one of the key things throughout the story is these people that get lost in their life just don't feel seen in their life. And that's what he sort of does by giving back their portraits to them. So let me just go back to the Hey, Target. Welcome. I think this is the first time you've been here, so I appreciate it. Hello. I equate wealth with security. And that is true. Jen, you are right. It's not necessarily the money. Money does nothing. I've always said money's just a tool. And I always say, bring back, when people say, when I ask people their goals or something, and they say, I want X dollars, whether it's with their job or in their bank account, they always try and have them dig deeper. Well, what does that mean? Having a stack of money on my desk isn't going to do anything for me. It's going to be what it makes me feel. So you're right. Typically, people want money because they want security, right? It would give them a sense of peace. They wouldn't be so anxious about, the bills at the end of the month or how they're going to pay tuition. So you're right. You equate it back to security. And maybe even, go deeper than that. If you were secure, what feelings would that make you feel? Because I always say it's about the feelings, right? So mine goes to finances, but I think that's just conditioning. Yeah, you're right, Catherine. Because I think that's just what society has. You're right. That's what society has conditioned us. That you need to go to college, you need to get the job, you need to keep climbing that corporate ladder. And even I don't know if anybody's ever experienced this, but even when you go back to like your whether it's your high school reunions or your college reunions, I just feel that it's all about your job title, right? Typically don't talk about money, but they equate the job title with money, and they equate success with what college does your kids go to. I don't know. That's some of the things. I don't go to my college or my high school reunions anymore, but the first couple of times I went, that seems what everybody was interested in. So you're right, Catherine. It's the conditioning. Wealth equals stability. Yeah, that's kind of like what Jen was saying. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody wants to be able to, not only pay their bills and put food on their table, they want to be able to know that they can, go out on date night, right? And go to a nice dinner or go out dancing or go do something and not have to worry about, well, where's the money going to come from? Or if I spend the money on this, will I not be able to pay for that? Or if your child wants to go to a college, I don't know, we always put, since the kids were born, we always put money into, different Roths and I don't even remember what they're called now. It wasn't a Roth, but for their college tuition. But it didn't matter how much we put in. We'd have money taken out every week for the 3 kids. And there still wasn't enough money for their college tuitions to just be paid that way. So when your child comes to you and say, okay, this is the school I want to go to, I mean, as long as it makes sense, the reason they want to go to that school. My middle daughter, she had all these ideas of all these schools she would want to go to, and it was never for the right reasons. So I used to tell her, I mean, it came back like she wanted to go to Alabama, she wanted to go to Rhode Island, she wanted just everywhere. And I told her she had to actually give me a presentation as to why. I needed to understand why she wanted to go to these schools. And when she couldn't come up with a good enough reason, we told her she had to go back to the drawing board. But it was kind of funny. But anyways, yes, stability, Daniel. You're right. We seem to have a similar view of wealth. Yeah. Again, it's all, money's just a tool, right? So it's just being able to have that sense of security, like you said, Jen, and that sense of peace, right? Like you can breathe, that you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. And I was reminded of that again, with my husband having been laid off for 15 months. We were still able to pay all our bills, but you think about it, right? You think about it. You kind of second guess vacations and whatnot while that was happening. So I say wealth is our salvation. Jesus paid it all. There you go. You bring it right back to what it is, Allie. You're right. You're right. But at the same time, unfortunately, you still got to pay the bills, right? But you are right. That's what I was talking about during my live this morning. Yeah, yes, Sally, you actually got me on this thinking, and then I was listening to my book, and but yes, that's what you were talking about. Is true wealth isn't about the money. It's not about the zeros you have in your bank account. It's it's the friendships you have. It's who would how many people could you call right now that would do anything for you? So that's wealth. It's the friendships. It's the time, right? I mean, to me, time, the older you get, it just seems to speed up so quickly. And that's one thing that I wish would slow down a little bit. So I do wish I'm trying very hard to be more rich in my time, meaning to be more in the present moment and to be more mindful, right? Not always thinking about tomorrow or what's next, or definitely not living in the past. I've gotten pretty good about not living in the past, but I'm still working on trying to stay out of the future too much. So yes, Sally, you did inspire me this morning. I've always been afraid to be seen. Having my own channel is helping me feel more comfortable in my own skin. It is refreshing to be vulnerable, isn't it? And Jen, and the thing is there's more people that are like you than are not. I think probably everybody on here at one point was concerned about being seen. And, especially even when I started going live, I was nervous about that. But my goodness, it took me months to actually push that record button when, I started my channel. So, and I still, I don't get it right. I babble a lot of the times, but I'm starting to realize that there are more people like me than are not. So you're absolutely right, Jen. And I love that you took that step. And yes, it's refreshing to be vulnerable. It's refreshing not to always have to worry about what other people think. Um, I don't know if Heidi's on, but Heidi did a really good Heidi Mastering Midlife with Heidi. She did a really good video. I saw it today. I don't know when she published it, but it was based on a comment she got. In the comment, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly, but somebody said something to Heidi along the lines of, you know, I think Heidi's in her early 70s. Why are you so concerned about looking good or feeling good? So I guess I have no idea how old this commenter was, but I guess you get to a certain age, this person felt that you shouldn't look good or feel good anymore, right? And Heidi just did a really good, I guess, rebuttal to that, and just explaining why it doesn't matter what age you are, and it doesn't even necessarily matter about your looks. You still want to feel good, right? You still want to have that that wealth of your health. And she just did a really fabulous job explaining that. So if folks have not seen that particular video, you should go watch that one too. Money isn't bad. It's the love of money. You're 100% right, Daniel. You know, I've heard people say, you know, money's evil, or, you know, the Bible says that you shouldn't have money. And I would ask anybody to tell me where in the Bible it says that. You're 100% right, Daniel. It says the love of money is what's evil. So, I mean, we all need money, right? And I've used this example before, so I'm probably repeating myself. Money is not bad, especially when, you know, if you have as an analogy, if you have a garden of weeds, right? And it rains, so the money is rain, and it rains on these weeds, what's going to grow? More weeds. So if you have somebody that does not have a pure heart, that is not good intentioned, and they get more money, you can probably pretty guess that they're going to continue being who they are. Not saying they can't change, but if you have a rose garden and it rains, so you have a person that has a really pure heart, a good heart, and they get more money, they're going to do good with it. So it's not how much money you have. And, you know, sometimes I hear people say that they don't want too much money, or they don't desire too much. And I say, why not? I mean, both can be true, right? You can do good with it, and you can still especially if you're going to do good with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to achieve and obtain more money. It's just a tool. So you're right, Daniel. Hi, Pam. I'm glad you could drop in. Thank you. Hey, Deb and Mike. Welcome. I'm glad you could drop in tonight. Oh, man, do I understand the money flowing steadily to kids' tuition costs. You're in that, aren't you, Pam? I promise there'll be a light at the end of the tunnel. We just made our final tuition payment about a month ago. So we got 3 kids through school. None of them have, any student loans. I don't think they'll appreciate how much that really means, because I had student loans. And I mean, they were nothing compared to, what student loans are today or college tuition is today. But, it took 10 years to pay off. So, but I feel so good to be done. So hang in there. Trust me, there will be a light. Hello, hello, hello. Zeros help. Yeah, especially if they're behind, right? If they're behind the comma. Agreed. Money gets so tricky. The more you focus on it, the more power it has over you. Yes, you're right, Pam. And that's it. How do I explain this? It's just one thing that I have never been worried about. And I know that sounds, even when I just said, my husband was out of work, I just knew we'd always pay the bills, but I'm not going to lie and say I didn't think about it. but I just never, I just don't, money's just always been there, which is weird coming, again, I've talked about my poverty season, I've talked about bankruptcy, but when I let it go, when I stopped being so worried about it, as a single mom and everything, you're right, it no longer has power over you, and it just shows up. Money's just always showed up for me, since I've let it go. And the other thing I think about, right? What is money? It's currency. And what is currency? A current. A current flows, right? Money isn't supposed to just be stalled. It's supposed to flow. So that's something that I've always, thought, learned, and done. Obviously, I make it sound like I spend all the money, but no, I don't. Obviously, we have 401ks and whatnot, but to me, money is supposed to be, it's supposed to flow. Just, you use it as a tool and it's supposed to move. It's not supposed to stay stagnant. So, but you're right. Once you let the power, the more you think about it, it has power. So you got to, you got to get to a place that you're not thinking about it. And I guess when you get comfortable and you realize, again, I've always been provided for. And I do believe that God has always provided for me, even when I was going through those tough seasons, when I can look back. And I guess that's one good thing about looking back, just to see how far you've come, as long as you don't stay back there. But I do think it's important sometimes maybe to look in the rearview mirror in short order just to see where you've come. But you're right, Pam, 100%. Maybe. Hello. Yes, we do need money, but if we are faithful in our salvation, we can be confident in our gifts that God gave us. Right. That's what I was just saying, Allie, right? I've always just believed, in the last 3 decades, 3 decades, that God would just provide. He always has. Even when I was struggling, he was providing. I didn't realize it, but he was. He has always provided. Even as a child, he provided. 100%. I can't agree more. 100%. No, I don't think I finished reading that. Gave us and live as the person we were created to be. Correct. I think it was titled, Why Do You Want to Feel Attractive at Your Age? Yes. From Heidi. Yep. So you saw it, Mike. Yeah, it was really good. She did a really good job. Again, and she didn't do it from a standpoint of, just your looks. It was talking about your health and just, and she has the same philosophy that I do, that she didn't put it this way, but she did say, I think she called the body a meat suit, where I call it a vessel, right? Your soul can't be here without your body. So you do need to take care of your body, period, right? You can't stay here. Your soul will not be able to stay here if you're not healthy and if you don't take care of your body. So she really made a lot of good points. She just did a really good job. And I also have to question, how old was this commenter? Why would you say such a thing? I mean, maybe she's in her 20s, 30s. And actually, when I was watching it, it did make me think. A couple weeks ago, I was at a gathering and I was talking to this woman. And I said, oh, so what are you doing this weekend? And she goes, oh, it's my mom's birthday on Sunday, so we're taking her out. Now, I know this woman that I was talking with is roughly my age. So I'm like, oh, how old is mom? How she, and she said, my mom's going to be 93. And I was like, wow, and I know where her mom lives. I don't know why I know that, but I do. And I run by her house sometimes. So I do see her out sometimes, her mom. So I said, wow, how's she doing? And she's like, she's really good, Lori. She has, all her faculties. She's still driving. She goes out with her friends a couple times a week. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's fabulous, right? And she says to me, oh, I would never want to live that long. I didn't know what to say. This was her own daughter. And she said that. So I don't know why somebody would say that. But so I guess it's along this, I don't know I don't know why anybody would say that. And again, this woman's roughly my age. I don't know exactly, but she's roughly my age. So that one caught me off guard. These days you can't have enough money. Not with the way our taxes are spent, that's for sure, Sally. Hey, John, I'm glad you could make it tonight, hon. Thank you. At the age of 79, I strive to look as good as I can and stay as healthy as I can be. However, at my age, I don't give a rat's tutu what people think about me. Well, you're right. That is true. I think the older you get, the less concerned you are what people think. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have any comment on that. I don't think I do, John. I don't think I can argue with you on that one. So I certainly am different today than I was, say, in my 20s or 30s. I would never leave the house with wet hair or anything like that. And now I could care less. I just throw it back and I am who I am. I don't wear makeup. Yeah, I just don't. So I guess I'm with you there a little bit. You got to feel good about who you are, right? And whatever that means. It's different for everybody. So as long as you're taking care of your body, that's it. As long as you're taking care of your body. Catherine's in listening mode. I don't remember what I said, Allie, that you said congratulations. But thank you. Oh, maybe my tuition payment? Maybe? Yeah, that if it's that, yes, thank you. I readily welcome that. So happy. I never thought I'd get there. Oh my goodness. We started back in 2013, our first tuition payment. So 13 years of tuition payments. So. Oh, lovey. How are you, hon? I'm so happy you could join again. My sweet, sweet friend. I've been sick all weekend and still put on a clean shirt and tried to look good for the little video I did today. Making yourself look like you got it together when you don't helps a little. Did you read my, first of all, I'm very sorry that you're not feeling good, Daniel. Did you read my feedback that my daughter gave me? She was there with me when I was watching your video, and she was sick a couple of weeks ago, and then her roommates got sick. And she swears by this. She cut up a clove of garlic, she diced it up, and she ate the garlic straight with honey. And she said in days it was like gone. So I don't think I could do it, but she swears by it. She got her roommates to do it. They all were healthy enough to play in the hockey game yesterday. So I don't know. I don't know if you're daring enough to do something like that, but she did want me to share that with you. I've been sick too, sore throat and head cold. All right, well, Allie, try the garlic if you're brave enough. She swears by it. Just a friendly reminder, please hit that love button to show our girls some love. Oh, thank you, Sally. Thank you. Sometimes I feel like there are people who attract money and people who repel money. It's tough not to get into a negative mindset about it. We got to stay positive. Yeah, you are right, Scott. And I do think it has to do, I guess I'm going to get a little woo-woo here, but I do believe it's, we talk about frequency and vibration because everything's just energy. It's truly just energy. And I also believe that everything that each one of us desires is already there. We just have to tune our frequency to be on the same timeline as that. And when I get into my nervous system series, and then after that, I am going to talk about, energy and frequency and all that. But everything I'm going to talk about when I get into the nervous system, I'm pulling things right out from the Bible. So You know, I know a lot of times when I talk about this stuff, sometimes it sounds a little woo-woo, but it's really not. It's really not. But I think that's one of the reasons some people repel it and some people attract it. I believe it's the frequency at which they're vibrating. So I do think that has a big part of it. I don't give a rat's tutu what people think about John either. Love you for who you are. Oh, thanks, Kathy. Right back at you, hon. Right back at you. 3 kids. That is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And let me tell you, it's no, I won't go there. I know my friend Kathy, who's on, is in the middle of paying tuitions, but the college tuitions are a crime. They are truly a crime right now. And nothing's being done about it, but they should not be what they are. So thanks for the reminder. Rats tutu is my new favorite thing. A simple, happy life. Hey, thank you for joining, hon. Love having you here. Hello. I think that is a spot on Scott. I think that is spot on, Scott. About the money, yes. Hey, Squirrel. I'm glad you could make it, hon. I'm glad you could drop in. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling good. Yes, I read the text you sent me, but I don't have garlic. But the picture of you and your daughter was great. Did they win? No, unfortunately, they lost 4-3. But they did okay. It would have been better if they won, certainly. But they did okay. So she played great. They had their second goalie in for the first period, so they gave up some goals and they just couldn't recover after that. They swapped the goalies out the second period, but it was already too late. So thanks, everyone. I was trying to be polite and not come out. You're always polite, John. I was sick for the last 3 weeks. Oh, with the flu, and still managed to create 2 videos a week. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I need to catch up on some of your videos. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you're feeling better now. That's a long time, 3 weeks. Woo is our specialty. Thank you, Scott. Yes. Garlic, here we come. Try it. And then I want to know, Allie, you got to tell me. Because then I'll tell her. But she swears by it. Again, so now there's been 3 of them that have done it, and they've all gotten better pretty quickly in short order. Hello. I said that to Brooke once when she was apologizing for being woo-woo. Oh, I know who you mean, but I can't think of her last name. But from Rob's, Brooke from Rob's. So we think alike, escape in the suburbs. I'm doing okay for now. I'm glad to be here. Oh, thanks, Squirrel. I'm glad you're doing okay. At least they will keep the vampires away with all that. Yeah, see, I say it cautiously because, Daryl, I could not, I'm not a big garlic person. I don't like it when my family cooks garlic in the house. So I certainly could not eat garlic. But I guess if I was sick, knock on wood, I have not been sick in, I won't say how long because I don't want to jinx myself. But maybe if I was, I would do it. But let me just, I think I'm all caught up on the chat. Brooke Sears, yes. Thank you, Daniel. Let me just look at my notes, see if there was. Okay, so I talked about the book. Yeah, no, I think Okay, I guess one question I did write down was, and put it in the chat, in the comments. What's one area, excuse me, of your life where you would want to feel more wealthy? And I don't mean just financially, but if it is financial, put that. But where would you want to feel fuller or, more present, or more alive? I'd like to know, like, is it with your friendships? Is it with, maybe your relationships with your children? Where do you wish that you could up your wealth game right now? And again, if it's financial, that's okay too. So, is it with your health? I think sometimes declaring it and putting it down is important. So, put it in the comments if you're up for it. And then the only other thing I was going to mention is I really want, oh my goodness, I've been trying for a week now to get out this new series. And I was going to do it while I was away over the weekend, but for whatever reason, the hotel, I did not have good reception in the hotel last night, so I couldn't do it last night. But I'm going to try and get the first video out tonight, or at least first thing in the morning, for this new series, Remembering Who We Are. And again, it's around the nervous system, and because the nervous system actually plays a bigger role, I think, than most people realize. And if we can learn how to, recalibrate and regulate our nervous system, a lot, things will start aligning for us. And I also think, you'll be able to tune into your intuition more, and obviously, your body. You'll be able to get, on that health journey, if you would. So, and on Thursday, I don't know who was on the Thursday live, but I did maybe 6 or 7. Gave 6 or 7 suggestions on how to help regulate your nervous system. And certainly you don't have to do all 6 or 7. Even if you just go to that live, you don't have to watch the live. I put right in the description, like the 7 that I suggested, along with one of Andrew Huberman's videos talking about the type of breathing I suggested. So everything's right there. So go take a look at it and see if there's something there. And just, even if you wanted to print that out, copy and paste that into a Word doc so that you have something as a guide as we go through. I do give a suggestion at the end of every video, how to help regulate your nervous system. But that was a really cohesive list, so maybe keep that at the top of mind as well. I think that was it. Let me go back. Brooke Sears, yes. Oh, hold on. I managed to put 2 children through college, so they have no student debt. However, I'm still helping my one son with my grandson's tuition, even though he has a good job and making decent money. You don't even have to say that, John. I know. My son has a great job, a really good job, and it's hard. He has 2 kids, 1 and younger. His wife does stay home and raise the children, and that's it. I mean, they chose to do that, but to be honest, I'm not sure she could afford to go to work because, childcare is so dang expensive. And, I would babysit them as well, but I don't think they want to get into having the grandparents always have to babysit. But, maybe at some point my daughter-in-law will go back part-time, but yeah, so you don't even have to say that your son has a good job because I'm right there with you. He has a really good salary, and they still, I don't want to say struggle, but it's hard. So I can't even imagine paying for tuition. Yeah, so I get it. I always say I don't want to go down these rabbit holes, but one of these days I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. And I'll probably lose all you guys. But one of these days I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. Tuition is off the charts. It certainly is. I mean, even the state schools are crazy. The state schools are crazy. They, at least the state schools were always a, kind of like a fallback because you could afford them versus like the private institutions and stuff. Granted, we're out of state at Penn State, but it's sickening how much it costs to go there. It's not Harvard. It's not any of the Ivy Leagues, which those are disgusting. But so just a PSA and heads up, there is a fake Rob the Maritime and going around tagging people, asking them to contact him. It's not really Rob, so be careful. Oh, interesting. Is he leaving it in the comments, Scott? Is that where you're seeing it? Must be, right? Thank you for the heads up. I would love more time. Yeah. And I think the older you get, that's the one thing I wish I had more of. I always joke, I wish I had 10 more hours in a day. And my family just says, yeah, but you would just use that too. So I'm really trying not to always be going. I'm really trying to just be, and I'm not proud of that, but I am trying. So, but I wish I had more time to CL. And what I was going to say is when I was reading this book and they're talking about the drawings and the, all the portraits on the coffee shop wall, I thought of you because I'm like, you, in your painting, CL, not only, at least for me, you give me, especially when your videos are 10, 15 minutes, I think I've shared this with you, that I take that time and I literally kind of get lost in meditation. I watch your video, but I allow myself to literally get lost watching your video. I'm able to empty my mind. I get into this meditative state. So I just don't think you realize how much of an impact your art has been having. And so when Theo takes these portraits off the wall, like in the story, and obviously the artist who I didn't even talk about Asher. Asher's the one who actually draws all these portraits and hangs them on the wall, if you would. He didn't realize what an impact he was having to all these people. So I thought of you because I don't think you realize the impact that you're making. You've done wonders for me. So, and I was thinking about that this morning. I just thought of you when they were talking about when I was putting the notes together about the book and Asher. Asher again is the artist who does these drawings. So that's great. My nervous system is shot. Well, we're going to work on that, Jen. I have spent a lot of time probably, I'd say consistently for the last 6 years doing a lot of nervous system work. I was introduced to it before that, but I would say the last 6 years consistently. And it has made such a huge, huge difference in my life. I'm not saying that it's, I'm not saying that you won't still have times that you feel anxious. You will. I mean, I did a video where just recently, a few weeks ago, I had one of those times out of the blue. I didn't expect it. But I knew what was happening, and I was able to deal with it in a matter of a couple of days versus it being dragged on for weeks or months. Sometimes I think we can really get lost in anxiety and just the nervous system always trying to protect us. So we're going to work on that, Jen. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you. I use those coping strategies all the time. Good. They do work. They do work, especially the breathing. There's so many different breathing exercises out there. So, pick the one that you resonate with the most. But literally and I said this during the live the other day, when you can breathe deep and when you exhale, if you exhale longer than you inhaled, it's an immediate physiological thing that tells that deals with your vagus nerve, but it tells your nervous system that you're safe. So it is immediate. And I think I shared this on Thursday that I've always told my kids, whether it was for their final exams or they were going in for an interview, and they have always now sworn by it because they know how much it has helped. So certainly breathing, and you don't even have to be in an anxious state. You know, if you just even want to be more calm, try one of those breathing exercises. And the one that I talked about the other day on the live, the one that Andrew Huberman was doing, that one was like supposed to immediately, like a snap of a finger, reset your nervous system. And that's the reason I chose that one versus I usually do I think it's Heidi said it the other day. Is it the 6-7-8 or the 4-7-8? Which is the one I usually do. Excuse me, I'm talking too much. I usually don't talk this much. I make great money. I did not buy a house, and now I'm paying for it by renting outrageous prices. Yeah, it is. And the thing is, Mike, you can't even necessarily go and buy a house now because the housing market is crazy. Yeah, these last 6 years have done a number on our economy in every facet, whether it's the housing market, the healthcare market, everything has been so impacted. Food prices, it's a crime. So that's one of those things that really makes me angry. I don't get angry about much, and it's one of those things I feel helpless to some degree. I mean, I can't move the needle on anything political, but I can move the needle on my life and my vibration and my frequency and what comes into my life. So, and I feel the more people that I can help do that as well, then that's where we can make an impact. And, and just sharing as much as we can, about God's word, like Sally does every morning. That's where we can make an impact. So we got to focus on where we can make an impact. But yeah, no, this fake Rob is putting post on his own channel. It looks like Rob's channel. And he tags people saying, text me with a fake Gmail address. Wow. So was his account hacked? So how is he putting post on Rob's? His account must have been hacked. Hey, Yvonne. I'm glad you could make it, hon. I think, don't you have a live right after this? I'm happy with where my life is at right now, particularly after restarting my coaching business part-time. I love it so much. That's awesome. That's awesome, Catherine. What time do you start live streams? Mine started at 7, but I thought yours was right after mine at 8. Correct me if I'm wrong. I absolutely love that, Lori. It's true, CL. Lori starts at 7, yep. Hello, Yvonne. She starts at 6 our time. Hey, Perlman. I'm glad you could drop in, hon. There are so many people struggling right now. Something has to change. Yeah, something does. I just don't know if, again, I think we need to focus on where we can make an impact, Pam. I have no hope outside of my community, my family. I just don't, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. So there's Okay, I just did that one. So true, Lori. Focus on what we can impact. Right. The scammer created a fake account that looks like Rob's page, then pretended to be Rob and tagged me in a post on the fake YouTube page. Thank you so much, Scott. I would have had no idea. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I have heard of things, but I've never heard of them actually recreating a whole page. And they still say I would not qualify for a house. Go figure. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, and now it's getting, the banks are getting nervous. If anybody lived through 2008 and what happened in 2008, well, the banks are back there and they're getting nervous about now lending money again. So what would have been easy back in 2020, everybody was getting mortgages back in 2020. Not so much anymore. It's gotten really bad. And I don't know what these people in our government think they're doing, but not much, I guess. One of my goals is to pay off my house. It is slow going. Well, keep at it, CL. Keep at it. You know, there's so many different ways to do it, right? So I'm sure you're aware of them. Slow and steady, right? Slow and steady, but that's a good goal, hon. And don't give it up. Don't give it up. I usually do one at 6:45, so quarter of. Okay. So, Yvonne, let us know. Will you have one after this, or are you not doing one tonight? Because I'll hop on right after this. I am actually 7:59. Let me just see if there's any other. I am listening in, even though I don't talk much in the chat. That's okay, Squirrel. That's usually what I'm doing. I'm usually running around multitasking, cleaning the house, walking the dogs. So totally okay. I just have a lot going on right now. Okay. Hey, Gail. Welcome, hon. I'm glad you could pop in. All right. I'm going to wrap it up with my reading from Thoughttuary. What's the date? 15th. Oh, I hope everybody had a great Valentine's weekend. Whatever anybody decided to do. I joined Sally's live last night, but for some reason I thought it started at 8. So I got there right at the tail end. Totally missed it. Okay, so February 15th, on water and thirst. About that glass, whether we see the glass as half empty or half full usually depends on if the level rose or fell just before the water became still. And of course, how thirsty you think you are at that time. So ask yourself this: how do I remind myself that perspective is indeed everything in my daily life? Well, that's true. It's all how you look at things, right? We talk about that all the time. So, and you know, I'm sure everybody can quote it by now. My favorite saying by Wayne Dyer: when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And that's so true. There's miracles going on outside of there are miracles happening around us all the time. But the true miracle actually happens inside of us. And when that miracle happens inside of us, that we wake up and we actually see, and we can see, then you'll see all the miracles that are going on around you every day. I mean, just go for a walk. Go for a 10, 15-minute walk and just look. Look with your eyes wide open. I'm telling you, you know, that beauty wasn't created by mistake. So, you know, look at the colors. Look at the colors of the trees. And well, right now there's no trees here, but there's still amazing, the wildlife in my backyard, because they're all looking for food right now. It is amazing, the wildlife that's out there. And I love every moment of it. So it's not lost to me that we all have busy lives, folks. And for you to come and spend an hour on a Sunday night, whether you're listening, whether you're participating in the chat, it's all the same to me, and it means the world to me. I want you all to know how much you mean. And I mean it. I really mean it. I love all you guys. Every one of you have touched me in some way, more than I thought when I started my channel. So namaste to all of you folks. I love you guys, and I will see all of you throughout the week somewhere. So you guys take care.